Supportive. Thank you very much.
Hey, 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 hey. Ah, 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 ah. Hey, 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 hey. Ah,
So, significance of Mother's Day with these parents who are away from their son or daughter. Here is another one talking to us from Washington DC. We have these visuals coming to us from Washington DC where parents are protesting. What are they protesting about? What is the main issue where government intervention can help these broken families in coming back together with their son, with their daughter? What is the plight of these single parents where one of the parent has gone away from America and has taken either the son or daughter with them, and those estranged husband and wives not only from Indian origin but from many countries where the overlap of the parentship is spreading in two countries. The problem is growing every day because these cases where one parent is losing the custody as well as ability to be in the proximity of his son or daughter is causing a lot of suffering. How this protest is coming about? Thanks to Dr. Samina Rahman for coordinating to make us a part of this protest event, which is happening just before Mother's Day weekend.
Namaste. My name is Kiran Sanjeeva, and I'm here with so many left behind parents here whose kids have been abducted to India. They have been detained in India by our spouses and exes. We are here for a 3-day conference organized by I Stand Parent Network. What we try to do is we gather here every year in Washington, D.C. We talk to senators, congressmen, the Department of State, and try to push for legislations, changes in the legislation, and enforcement of the same to ensure that our kids are back here in their homeland, USA. There is what is called as Hague Convention on Civil Aspects of International Parental Abduction, which governs a lot of these returns. Unfortunately, India is not a signatory to the convention, as well as India has been dragging its feet on even ratifying the conventions. So we don't have much hopes of that happening immediately. And any delays that are being caused by this Indian government's dragging its feet is causing us to lose contact with the children. They effectively don't have one parent parenting them at all. We are here to talk to senators to push for restrictions like visa expenses to ensure that the U.S. government enforces the acts and helps get our children back to their proper homes.
The kind of protest which is happening in which parents from different countries are supporting each other, how it is likely to have any favorable impact to reduce the suffering and have a sort of family reunion, or at least reunion of mother or son?
My name is Ruchika Abbey, and my daughter's name is Roshni. She is in New Delhi, India. She was abducted 3 years ago from Virginia, where she was born and raised. And at that time, she was 6.5 years old. Now she is 10 years. And I was in India for a year and a half, and despite having orders from US and from India, even Supreme Court of India, I could not reunite with my daughter and I could not bring her back home. And this is her bear that Roshni gave me. She said, "You take her home, and one day I will come back home as well." We are gathered here today. I speak on behalf of all the left behind parents, dads, moms, those who are here and those who could not make it. All the children that are retained in India, all the parents who are alienated, who haven't talked to their kids. I have not had any access to Roshni for over a year and a half. I have not even heard her voice. I have seen her picture maybe just once or twice. I don't know how she looks. I don't know. I don't know anything about her, and that's my own child that I gave birth to. And we really urge government of US here to act on our behalf to bring American citizens home. But we are here today to also urge to India to um, not consider our cases on any gender bias. So what happens is mostly 60% of the cases are where mothers have abducted their kids. But now you can see the ratio here. We are mothers and fathers. We are loving parents. All of us here are loving parents, and this issue should be treated as a child protection issue. Child abduction is child abuse. Separating a child from a loving parent and alienating that parent, it's child abuse. India must recognize this and consider abduction as an offense, as a criminal offense, like US does, and have laws in place for prompt return of abducted children. We urge India to sign Hague Convention. We urge India to see how many mothers are suffering, and mothers who claim that they are flying from abuse from their spouses in US. That is not, a ground for finding a safe haven in India, so to say.
With lots of good wishes for all of you for finding the solution, and may all the dedicated struggle involving this protest that you are collectively undertaking lead to the desired results.
My name is Dr. Samina Rahman. This is my son Abdullah, who was abducted to India in 2013 by his father. We were in New York at the time, and my husband and I had a fight, and then I thought we were reconciling. There was some domestic violence, and I didn't call the police because I thought we were going to reconcile. And it seemed everything was going fine again, and then he said, "I want to go to Florida to visit my sister, and I'll come back in 4 days." And then he never came back. I got a text message from Dubai saying that, we're coming back. Then he went to India, and then he just cut all contact with me. And for the first 3 years, I had no contact with my son, except when my son would call me. So he was 6 years old when he was taken. He memorized my phone number because he used to call me when I was at the hospital, and I used to leave him with my mother. He used to call me at the hospital to ask me when I'm coming home. So he had memorized my number. So he would call me from India. And the first 3 years, we spoke maybe 15 times for 10 minutes because his father wouldn't let me talk to him, probably because he knew that my son would get very upset missing me. And then the last maybe 8-9 months, I'm in contact with my son. But I went to visit my son in India, and my husband assaulted me in front of his family members. And his family members, his chachas, they came and they rescued me from him. And I got a concussion. My clothes were ripped. It was a very unpleasant thing, and I wanted to complain to the police, but the police said, "No, we'll have to investigate it, and there's nothing to do." He'll maybe after 2 weeks of investigation, he'll go to jail for a day, and he'll come out on bail. And so I thought, this is not a safe place for me where I can get attacked in front of my family and his family, and they helped me, but the damage, the physical, the bruises were already there. So I came back here, and what's happening is that currently the narrative in India is that it's child abduction is a defense, is a way for a woman who's a domestic violence sufferer to run away from the US, run to India for safety, and that's not true. I mean, my husband is not a domestic violence victim, but yet he ran away to India. So then, basically, India has a reputation of being a safe haven for child abduction, not only from the US, but from Australia, Canada, UK. So a lot of people, a lot of countries are facing the same problem with India. So I think it's time for India to revisit um, child abduction and to realize it's a crime. And India is a signatory of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. And the Ministry of Women and Child Development was instituted according to the Indian Constitution to uphold and implement the nodal ministry to implement UNCRC, and Articles 11, Article 39 of UNCRC, and some other articles address this issue of child abduction by a parent across borders very specifically. So India has not been really giving it any attention. And recently it's been coming in the news that, the Minister of Women and Child Development, Srimati Maneka Gandhi, respected Maneka Gandhi, is concerned about the safety of women who are domestic violence victims and they're running away from the US. Well, I can assure her that I was a domestic violence victim in India and US. And in US, I could have gotten all the services for free. I could have gotten a protection order within a few days. I would be in a shelter, very safe. I would get sole custody because my husband is violent. But in India, it's for the same type of violence. The police there told me, the Mahila Thana told me that it will take at least 2 weeks to investigate. And I said, okay, in those 2 weeks, I can be patient, but how will you protect me from him in the next 2 weeks? And they said, you have to wait for 2 weeks. So I don't think it's a valid excuse when women say we're running away. And it's very interesting. A lot of the fathers with me, their wives are doctors and PhD holders, and they had jobs in the US. Many of them are US citizens. So they are not the typical helpless woman who needs family support from India. They have been born and raised here, many of them. They're PhDs here. They had jobs paying very well. So it's basically for forum shopping. And Indian law discourages forum shopping. There's Guardians and Wards Act 1839, I think, that says that the child's custody should be decided in the jurisdiction from which they were abducted from. So that's what I would like to say, that, please, India and the US work together to return these children home so every child has both parents in their lives.
Hi, my name is Nidhi Sharma, and my son Dakshi was abducted twice. He was abducted from India to USA in March 2015, and then he was abducted from USA to India in October 2015. It's really hard to explain the pain I'm going through for over 2 years now. And in both countries, I have custody orders in India, I got custody orders in the United States, but it's really, really so unfortunate that I still don't have my child with me. And the reason why it is so is because both countries, they could not work together to bring my son back to me. And it's a very clear case. I mean, I have the custody orders and I still don't have my son with me. It's so simple if they could work together. And because India is not a signatory to the Hague Convention, so that's the reason why they were not able to return my child to me. And for people like my husband and many other abducting parents, it's so easy for them to take advantage of all these loopholes in the legal system.
Supportive. Thank you very much.
Preparing for this protest also involves logistics as well as emotional rearrangement within to be able to cope up with the inner turmoil. So overall, what is the spirit there amongst all the parents?
In order to make my voice reach to him, I also wrote a song for him. I sang it, with the help of my other left behind parents, and it will be out soon. And I hope that one day he will hear my song and he'll know that I miss him, I love him, and I'm fighting for him, for his rights. And I hope that that song will be able to touch the Indian government officials and US government officials, so that they will feel our pain and they'll do something about it, because they have resources, they have money, they have everything. It's just that they need to figure out a way to work together, to in the best interest of our children, and to bring them back to us. So I request all of you to support us, our cause, so that our kids can be brought back home. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tova Sen Gupta, and I have a daughter that is now 8 years old. She was taken days before her 5th birthday. In an effort to be civil, even with someone with a domestic violence record, I wanted to keep all of our children together and share her with him. But instead, to further hurt me, he took her to India against standing court orders and controls when she could talk to me. And every day I miss her walking by little girls' clothes and toys. He's taking years away from her and affecting her life and childhood. And to use a child like this is surely a crime. And I would think that the Indian people wouldn't want people hiding behind its skirts, doing these things to families and their own children. Surely there's a way. I am a mother, and I would beg that the Indian government consider becoming a Hague signatory, because it's not just, you're not protecting mothers there, letting people hide without being facing the facts and dealing with things in a judicious way, the way that is right, and the way that a society should handle matters. And I need my daughter. Being her mother is everything to me. And I'm not an Indian. I have no family in India and no recourse or means to come to India to litigate something. She is a United States citizen. India has no jurisdiction over her. Please return my American citizen, my daughter, Indira.
My name is Sumit Fogla. My daughter Shreya was 7 years old when she was taken to India. They went to attend a family wedding and never came back. She is now 10 years old, and I have not seen her for almost 3 years. I have all the legal documents and court cases in my favor, documenting the divorce, custody orders, and even the High Court of Bombay have recognized that. But I am still stuck in the Indian legal system to get my daughter back. I request government of India to please recognize fatherly love, and father has an equal rights over the child, whether it's a male child or a female child, and please let me connect with my daughter. So I would request Indian government to support us, the left behind parents in America, to send our kids back to US so that we can take care of them and raise them in an appropriate way. Thank you.
Hi, I'm the family member of a parent who's been left behind, and what I wanted the Indian government to get clearly is that when you hear these voices, there is no gender bias. There are equal numbers of women and men who are left behind, and so the Indian government is considering this a case that is complicated by the problem of domestic violence. And what I want to get across to the people watching this is that that's not good enough. That is not an excuse to create a safe haven in India, so that the parents in different countries are deprived of their rights over their children. The Indian government needs to step up, needs to take it at a case-by-case basis. And one of the main things that is a problem in this kind of situation is time. The more time that passes, the more time that a parent spends away from their child, it leads to parental alienation, which is a huge problem. So by the time a case gets to the court and is litigated, and the child's case comes before a judge, that child has remained in the abducting parent's custody for years, and they have been brainwashed, and that is unacceptable. So these cases need to be expedited, and there needs to be a discussion that is free of gender bias and this question of domestic violence. Each case should be treated upon its merits. There are parents who are both female and male who are suffering as left behind parents who have been deprived of their rights. Thank you.
Yeah, so in closing, what I'd like to say is why we are here. We are here because today, due to these unfortunate circumstances, we are family. We understand each other's pain. And what we want is for the world to know our pain, for the world to know that this can happen to any family in this world. And we need awareness of this problem. We need prevention of this problem, and prevention happens by awareness. That is why we are here. We are walking along the streets of Washington, D.C., knocking on all embassies. We are holding these posters for everyone to see that these are the kids that should have been walking hand in hand with us today here, but instead we are left with these posters of our children to walk along. We want to be holding the hands of our children and walking the parks and playing with them, but this is what we are doing here today, unfortunately. We want the world to know that this problem is a children's problem. It is not a problem that is related to spouses, battling, about their personalities and stuff like that. No, this should be dealt as a children's problem, and the whole world should denounce that parents cannot use their children as pawns in their own battles. As simple as that. A child has full rights to both parents, and that is how it should be. That is how the world expects it to be, and that is how India should treat it as such. India is very backwards as far as custody rights are concerned, as far as children's rights are concerned, and that cannot be the case. And India cannot say that it's a global power with all this human rights abuse going on in its soil. And we are here to stand against that. We are here to stand for our kids. The kids come first, and that is a parent's responsibility. Whether they like their spouse or not, that is a different issue. The kids come first, put kids first, and let's change this world for a better place. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Daniel Pacheco, and I'm here to support all these parents that are going through this. I think as a physician and as a human being, it's important to recognize that the pain this inflicts on the children is long-lasting. It is a child issue. These parents have been robbed of the rights to spend time with their kids and help them develop to young, healthy young adults. I ask and urge all the governments, whether it's India or other nations, to please sign the Hague, to work with these parents, to prevent further pain and discomfort in the children, and help them reunite and start the healing process.
Thank you very much. Lots of good wishes. Namaste.
Thank you, Ashokji. You support our cause, and you believe in human rights and child's rights. This is not about countries. This is about human rights and child's rights. This is human rights history in the making. So thank you for supporting us.
Yeah, on behalf of ITV family, we extend good wishes and support, and we hope it resolves into something which makes families as well as this world a better,
yes,
beautiful place.
ITV has a very good perspective. They're not scared to take on these issues, which are very relevant to the Indo-American population now. So I'm very, very glad that ITV takes up these topics. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you.
Bye.